Hello, you're on the Reddit Reveals channel. The oil stain on the driveway looked like a heart. Not the pretty kind you draw in a notebook, but the real thing. Twisted, veiny, ruptured in the center. I stared at it for way too long this morning, clutching the trash bag she left by the door, wondering if she noticed it too when she drove off last night. She didn't say goodbye. She never does anymore. Just the slam of the door, the cold hiss of tires down the gravel, and silence. I stood there, holding the bag, still half asleep in my slippers, and it hit me. I didn't know where she went. Not like, oh, she's probably at work kinda not knowing. I mean, I literally had no clue where she was going, who she was seeing, or when she'd be back. That used to be a big deal. Now it's just Thursday. Later that day, I found a receipt in the laundry, pressed against the pocket of her coat like it had something to hide. A hotel. Not in our city. Not even in our state. A place neither of us had ever talked about. No conference. No spa. Just a room. For 2 nights. Paid in full. I sat on the edge of our unmade bed with that slip of paper pinched between my fingers like it was radioactive. The sheets still smelled like her hair. My dinner from last night was still on the table. Her toothbrush was gone. I wish I could say I confronted her. That I stormed out and made a scene. That I had some dignity. But no. I just sat there, staring at that oil stain again, this time from the upstairs window, wondering how long it had been shaped like that, wondering if it was always bleeding down the center and I'd just never noticed. And when she finally came back, smelling like someone else's cologne and chewing a gum she's never bought before, I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I tried to hug her. She turned her face away. That's the moment this story starts. Not with a fight, not with an affair, just the absence of a simple thing. And a silence so loud I couldn't breathe. That night, I checked the bathroom drawer. Her toothbrush was back. Not the same one she used before. This one was new. Same color. Same brand. But new. No worn bristles. No toothpaste crust near the base. Just clean, perfect, and pretending like it belonged there. That's when I knew I wasn't crazy. You don't replace a toothbrush when you're gone for 2 nights. You don't replace it unless you left it somewhere else, somewhere you planned to keep it. At least for a little while. I sat on the closed toilet lid for a while, staring at it like it might confess something. The thing is, it's never the big gestures. It's never lipstick on the collar or a stranger's text. It's the toothbrush, the receipt, the way she didn't even notice I was sitting in the dark when she walked past me in the hallway. She didn't ask how my day was. She didn't even look surprised to see me awake. She just walked into the bedroom, shut the door behind her, and clicked the lock. I can't remember the last time she did that. I mean, we've lived here for 5 years. That door barely even shuts right. But now, suddenly, it needs to lock? I didn't sleep that night. I lay on the couch, listening to the faint sounds of her shower running upstairs. It was 1:40 a.m. I thought about going up there. I didn't. Instead, I opened her laptop. It was sitting on the kitchen counter, like it always is. She never thought I'd look. She assumed I wouldn't even know the password. But I did. Her sister's birthday. Lowercase. No numbers. Just the name, Delaney. She hadn't cleared her browser history. The first thing that popped up was a Google search. Can you love 2 people at the same time? Then another. Hotels near Boone with hot tubs. And then a flight itinerary. Not booked. Just browsed. From Charlotte to Portland. One way. I stared at the screen until the refrigerator kicked on and startled me. I slammed it shut like I was the one doing something wrong. Like I was the one sneaking around, violating her privacy, even though all I ever did was love her like she was the oxygen in the room. That's what kills me. Not the betrayal, though God knows it's there, pulsing under every word she doesn't say. It's the indifference. The way she looks through me now like I'm a piece of worn-out furniture. Something that used to be useful, but now just takes up space. Something too heavy to move, too sad to throw out. And I'm still here. Still hoping. Still stupid enough to wonder if maybe, just maybe, that toothbrush was for me. 2 mornings later, she came downstairs wearing a necklace I didn't recognize. Silver chain. Teardrop-shaped pendant. Nothing flashy. But new. She never wears jewelry to work. Says it's uncomfortable. Says her clients don't notice those kinds of things anyway. But this one, this necklace, she kept touching it. Fingering the pendant like it had some kind of weight to it. Not literal weight, but meaning. I noticed it right away. She didn't expect me to. And then she said something strange. She said, "Don't wait up tonight. The Anderson file is a mess." The Anderson file. I'd heard about it maybe twice in 5 years. It's her go-to excuse when she wants to sound busy without giving details. She used it when her aunt died and she needed space. She used it the night she missed our anniversary dinner. And now again, just as casually, as if I wouldn't remember. But I do. I remember everything. I watched her walk to the door, purse on her shoulder, jacket barely covering the perfume she only wears on weekends. I stayed quiet. Didn't press. Didn't accuse. But I took a photo of the necklace the moment she left. I sent it to someone I didn't think I'd ever talk to again, Brenda, her college roommate. She and Mara haven't spoken in years. They fell out over some trip that never happened, and I was told to stay out of it. But Brenda always liked me, said I had a soft soul. Brenda answered fast. Too fast. I bought her that exact necklace 5 years ago. For your wedding. She never wore it. I stared at the screen, my throat tightening. I typed back. She's wearing it now. She replied with 3 words. Then it's a message. What the hell kind of message? What was she trying to say? To me? To Brenda? To someone else? My head spun all day. I forgot to eat. Forgot to feed the cat. I just sat by the window like an idiot waiting for a car that didn't come back until 2:13 a.m. She came in quiet. No heels, no phone light. Just a shadow passing through the house like she didn't live here. I didn't say a word. I pretended to sleep. But I heard her steps. I heard the click of the bathroom light. The soft rustle of her undressing. And I noticed something that made my stomach clench. She didn't go for the closet. She didn't grab pajamas. She slept in a t-shirt I'd never seen before. Too big. Faded logo of some brewery from Asheville. I've never been to Asheville. Neither has she. At least, that's what she told me. I lay there on the couch, the dark pressing in on me like a vice, and realized something awful. She wasn't just pulling away. She was already gone. And she was leaving little clues, not to confess, not to apologize, but to see if I'd finally get the hint. Friday evening, I made dinner. I don't even know why. She didn't ask for it. Didn't hint. But something inside me, maybe habit, maybe desperation, said it might make a difference. So I cooked. Nothing fancy, just lemon chicken with roasted carrots and garlic rice. I even poured her a glass of wine. The same brand she used to like back when we still had date nights. I set the table. Lit a candle. The one in the middle drawer that we never use unless guests come over. I even changed my shirt. Then I sat there like some kind of deluded ghost, staring at the empty chair across from me for 45 minutes. She was late. Then an hour. Then 2. No call. No message. Not even a lie. The food got cold. The candle burned halfway down. And I just sat there, replaying everything in my head. Every dinner we ever had. Every inside joke. Every moment I used to feel her eyes light up when I talked. Now, I couldn't even remember the sound of her laugh. Not the real one. Around 11:10, the headlights finally swept across the living room wall. She walked in like it was any other night. Hair pulled back, skin glowing like she'd been somewhere warm, somewhere alive. She kicked her heels off in the hallway and tossed her purse onto the couch without even noticing the table. The candle. The food. Me. I cleared my throat. I made dinner. She stopped, halfway to the stairs, and looked at the table like it was a stranger's house. Her eyes flicked to the wine, the uncut chicken, the wilted carrots. Then she said the most casual thing in the world. Oh, I already ate. That was it. No apology. No curiosity. Just, I already ate. Like I was a waiter who brought food too late. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. My throat had sealed itself shut. My heart too. She went upstairs. Showered. Played some dumb podcast I couldn't make out the words to. Laughed once, soft, short, the kind of laugh you give someone when they say something slightly clever. The kind of laugh I hadn't heard from her in months. I sat at the table until the candle went out. Then I threw everything in the trash. Even the wine. Even the plate I made for myself that I never touched. It sounds stupid, right? Getting torn up over a missed dinner. But it wasn't the food. It wasn't the time. It was what it confirmed. What I didn't want to believe. She didn't forget. She didn't miss the message. She just didn't care. And that silence between us. It wasn't empty. It was full. Full of things she'd never say. Full of places she'd rather be. Full of someone else's voice echoing in her ear while mine faded like background noise. I lay awake that night listening to the pipes moan through the walls, and I asked myself something awful. If she left tomorrow, would she even tell me? Or would she just disappear? Saturday morning, she took my car. She didn't ask. just grabbed the keys off the hook by the door and said, "I'll be back in a couple hours." No explanation, no reason. I didn't argue. What was the point? I just watched the taillights vanish down the street and tried to convince myself it didn't feel like watching someone steal the last piece of my life I still had control over. She was gone longer than a couple hours. By the time she returned, the sun was already crawling back behind the trees, casting everything in that dull orange haze that makes the world feel like it's holding its breath. I watched from the living room window as she stepped out of my car with 2 shopping bags, small ones, from a boutique downtown that she told me years ago was too expensive for people like us. She didn't knock, didn't call out, just walked straight past me like I was invisible, the soft crinkle of the bags the only sound between us. I waited a few minutes before I went to the garage. Something about the way she walked and didn't sit right. Not guilt, not shame, just smug, like she'd gotten away with something. And then I saw it. The passenger seat was pushed back, way back, farther than she ever would have pushed it. She's 5'4" and always keeps it close. But this was another person's comfort zone. A taller one, probably male. And the AC was still blowing cold, like they hadn't turned the engine off for long. I didn't say anything. Not that night. Not the next day either. But I started watching. Closely. Every mirror in the house began to tell a story. She'd stand in front of them longer than she used to, checking herself, adjusting earrings, tucking her hair behind her ears, and studying her own face with an expression I didn't recognize. Not vanity. Not doubt. Anticipation. I remember catching her in the hallway mirror one evening. I was walking up the stairs, and she didn't know I was behind her. She was just standing there, not moving, her head tilted slightly, lips parted like she was imagining a conversation that hadn't happened yet. And for a second, her expression cracked. She smiled, but not at her reflection. It was like she was seeing someone else. Someone who wasn't me. I stepped back down the stairs before she could hear me. Sat on the bottom step and stared at the banister, fingers gripping the rail like it might anchor me to a world that made sense. It didn't. Later that night, while she slept, or pretended to, I scrolled through her old Instagram posts. I hadn't looked in years. At first it was just nostalgia. Photos of us at the lake, laughing on that broken yellow couch we hauled from her cousin's garage. Her goofy captions. My awkward smiles. We used to look like we belonged in the same story. Then the photos changed. Newer ones. From the past few months. Nothing suspicious, just coffee cups, books, random scenery. But always framed the same way. Always moody. Romantic. Aesthetic, like she was trying to impress someone. Like every post was meant for one specific pair of eyes. And then I saw it. A photo taken in our backyard, right by the shed. I hadn't noticed it before because she never tagged the location. Just a blurry shot of wildflowers and the caption. Sometimes the best moments aren't meant to be shared. But the reflection in the shed window, it wasn't hers. It was mine. I was standing there, half visible, out of focus, carrying a bag of mulch. I remember that day. I remember thinking she was inside. I never even saw her take the photo. I stared at that image for what felt like hours. The post had been liked by one account that appeared again and again, hidden among the sea of usernames. A name I didn't know. No mutuals. Just one comment, now deleted. She had her own little world. Right here. Inside our life. A separate thread running parallel to everything I thought we were. And I was just background noise. A ghost in her photos. A reflection she never meant to capture. I didn't plan to see him. That Saturday was supposed to be quiet. She said she had errands again, grocery shopping, dry cleaning, maybe a stop by her mother's place. I stayed home. I usually do these days. The silence is less cruel when I don't expect anything from it. Around 3:40 p.m., I heard a car pull into the driveway. Not hers. Something lower, with a smoother engine. I peeked through the blinds like a coward, heart already hammering, and there he was. Tall, button-down shirt, aviators, holding something in his hand, a phone or maybe a wallet. He walked straight to the door like he'd done it before. Confident. Familiar. I froze. He rang once, then knocked. And like an idiot, I opened it. He looked surprised for exactly half a second. Then the charm kicked in. He smiled politely, tilted his head. Hi, I'm looking for Mara. My tongue stuck to the roof of my mouth. I looked past him, hoping she was coming up the driveway with some kind of explanation. She wasn't. She's not here, I managed. His eyes flicked over my shoulder, scanning the inside of the house. He didn't introduce himself, didn't ask who I was, just smiled that tight, professional smile and said, "Okay, I'll wait." Before I could stop him, he stepped inside. It was automatic, like this wasn't his first time. I stood there, stunned, as he made his way into my kitchen like it belonged to him. He didn't ask. He didn't hesitate. He walked over to the fridge, took out one of our sparkling waters, and leaned casually against the counter. My knees felt like they were filled with cement. I could barely keep my voice steady. "Who are you?" He took a sip. No reaction. "I'm just someone she talks to." Just someone she talks to. I could have screamed. I could have thrown him out, punched him, demanded answers. But I didn't. I stood there, the words curling up and dying in my throat, because the moment he said it, I knew. He wasn't there to explain anything. He was there to see if I knew, to test me, to stand in the space where I used to belong and see if I'd make a sound. I didn't. After 2 full minutes of silence, he set the bottle on the counter and looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time. "You're quieter than I imagined," he said. And with that, he walked out. No goodbye, no message, no drama, just left. I stood in the kitchen for a long time after that, staring at the condensation ring his bottle left on the granite. That circle of water sat there like a scar. I didn't wipe it away. When she came home an hour later, I didn't mention him. She didn't either. But something in her posture shifted when she saw my face. Just a flicker. Her eyes darted to the counter. Saw the bottle. Said nothing. We passed each other in the hallway like 2 strangers staying in the same hotel. She didn't touch me. I didn't reach for her. We were breathing the same air and living in different worlds. Later that night, I opened the door to the garage and just stood there in the dark, trying to remember the last time something in this house was real. Not rehearsed. Not blurred by silence. The man in my kitchen wasn't a stranger. He was proof. Proof that I hadn't been imagining it. Proof that the distance wasn't just emotional. She'd replaced me, piece by piece, right in front of my eyes. And I'd let it happen. That night, I watched her sleep. Not in some creepy, obsessive way. Not like I was hoping she'd whisper another man's name or toss and turn with guilt. No, it was quieter than that. Sadder. I watched her the way you'd watch a stranger on a train platform. Familiar outline, familiar coat, but no idea who they are anymore. Just trying to remember why you ever thought you knew them at all. She looked peaceful, like nothing in the world was wrong. Her chest rose and fell with a rhythm that used to calm me. Now it made me feel sick. Because for the first time, I didn't want her back. I didn't want to fight for us. I didn't want to write some tearful letter or beg her to explain herself. I didn't want her to admit it. I already knew. I knew in the way she closed doors a little too quickly. In the way she never made 2 cups of coffee anymore. In the way she always left before I woke up and came home just in time to fall asleep. I went downstairs around 3 a.m. and opened the drawer under the stairs. It's where we kept old bills, instruction manuals, junk we never bothered to sort. I wasn't looking for anything. Just moving. Touching things. Trying to remember that I used to have a life with weight to it. That's when I found it. A second phone. Tucked under a stack of takeout menus and expired coupons, like it had been placed there carefully, not dropped by accident. I turned it on. No passcode. Only one app on the home screen. Signal. I opened it. Messages flooded in. From him. Dozens of them. Dates, emojis, photos of hotel rooms, blurry smiles, phrases like, "miss the way you taste," and counting down the days. Some of the timestamps were while she was supposedly visiting her sister in Tallahassee. Others were from nights she claimed to be at the gym. I didn't cry. I didn't even feel angry. That part of me was gone. Dried out. All I felt was weightless. Like someone had finally let me go from a lie I didn't want to be part of anymore. I left the phone on the kitchen counter without a note. I wanted her to see it. I wanted her to know I knew. Not as a threat. Not as leverage. As truth. As the final act of silence. When she woke up the next morning, I was already dressed. Already packed. Just a single duffel bag and the keys to my old truck. She came downstairs and saw the phone before she saw me. She froze. No gasp. No panic. Just a slow, measured stare. Her eyes met mine for the first time in what felt like months. She opened her mouth, but I raised a hand. "Don't," I said. And she didn't. I walked out the door without another word. The sun hadn't even come up yet. The world was quiet and cold. But for the first time in forever, the silence felt like mine. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew what I was leaving behind. Not a marriage, not love, but the ghost of a woman who had stopped choosing me a long time ago. The air smelled different that morning. Maybe it was just the highway dust, or the pine trees off Route 17, or the fact that for the first time in years, I rolled the windows down without worrying what she'd say about the noise. I could feel the cold on my teeth. My fingers gripped the steering wheel like it was something sacred. The hum of the tires wasn't background anymore. It was music. Steady. Alive. I didn't know where I was going. I just drove. I passed the old lake where we used to take photos, and I didn't stop. I passed the gas station where we once argued about groceries, and I didn't look. By the time I reached the state line, my phone had buzzed 6 times. I didn't check it. I didn't need to. Whatever she wanted to say, if she even wanted to say anything, was too late. And not in a vengeful way. Not in the bitter, angry, scorched earth kind of way I used to imagine revenge would feel. No, it felt clean. I stopped in a small town with a name I couldn't pronounce and booked a room at a roadside motel that smelled like fresh paint and old newspapers. The guy at the desk asked if I was just passing through. I said maybe, maybe not. He nodded like that made sense. That night, I sat outside the room on a plastic chair, a lukewarm coffee in hand, and just breathed. Really breathed. Not the shallow, chest-tight kind I'd gotten used to. Not the breath that comes between arguments or after discovering something gutting. Real breath. The kind you forget about when you're trapped in someone else's silence for too long. I don't know if I'll ever fall in love again. I don't know if I'll ever understand why she left the way she did, piece by piece, without goodbye, like a house collapsing one nail at a time. But I've stopped needing those answers. Some people don't leave because they stop loving you. They leave because they forget how to. And maybe that's not mine to fix. This morning, I woke up before the sun, made gas station coffee, watched the sky turn pink behind the trees. A woman walked by with her dog, an old golden retriever with a limp. She smiled at me, not the flirty kind, not the pity kind, just human, real. I smiled back, and for the first time in a very, very long time, I didn't feel invisible. She turned her face away when I tried to hug her. So I moved forward. And now I live.